Have you ever felt trapped by your past, haunted by mistakes that seem to define you? I promise you, it doesn't have to be this way. Just as the dawn breaks after the darkest night, your journey to self-forgiveness and healing is about to begin. Imagine waking up one morning, realizing your sleep wasn't plagued by ghosts of regret. Picture yourself laughing freely, inspired by both life's grand moments and its simple joys. Envision swimming at dusk, your heart light and unburdened. This isn't just a dream, it's the reality that awaits you on the other side of self-forgiveness. In this video, we'll explore practical steps to overcome shame, release guilt, and embrace the beautiful, imperfect human you are. From understanding the impact of shame to learning actionable techniques for self-forgiveness, we're about to embark on a transformative journey together. Are you ready to reclaim your peace and rediscover yourself? Let's begin. Chapter 1. The importance of self-forgiveness. Ever had one of those nights where you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and your brain decides to replay that embarrassing thing you did 5 years ago? Welcome to the Why Did I Do That Club, where we all have lifetime memberships and the dues are paid in cringeworthy memories. Let's face it, we're all walking disaster zones sometimes. We make mistakes, say the wrong things, and accidentally reply all to that company-wide email. It's part of the human experience, like bad hair days and forgetting why you walked into a room. But here's the kicker, holding on to these blunders is like carrying around a suitcase full of rocks. It's heavy, it's exhausting, and it's definitely not doing your back any favors. That's where self-forgiveness comes in, folks. It's not about giving yourself a free pass to be a jerk. It's about acknowledging your humanity, learning from your mistakes, and moving forward without the weight of shame and guilt. It's like Marie Kondoing your emotional baggage. If it doesn't spark joy, thank it for the lesson and let it go. When we forgive ourselves, we're not just freeing up mental real estate, we're actually boosting our mental and emotional well-being, improving our relationships, and increasing our productivity. It's like hitting the reset button on your personal growth journey. But how do we actually start practicing self-forgiveness in our daily lives? It's not like we can just flip a switch and suddenly be at peace with all our past mistakes. It takes practice, patience, and a whole lot of self-compassion. One effective technique is the 4 R's of self-forgiveness: responsibility, remorse, restoration, and renewal. Take responsibility for your actions. Allow yourself to feel remorse, but don't wallow in it. Make amends where possible and commit to not repeating the mistake. It's like a personal growth workout routine, and trust me, your emotional muscles will thank you. Another powerful tool is the use of affirmations. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't that just some new age mumbo jumbo? But hear me out. Affirmations are like a pep talk from your best self. Try starting your day with something like, I am worthy of forgiveness, or I choose to release guilt and embrace self-compassion. It might feel a bit cheesy at first, but stick with it. Your inner critic needs a new script, and you're the screenwriter. Of course, the road to self-forgiveness isn't always smooth. We often face obstacles like perfectionism, fear of repeating mistakes, or the belief that we don't deserve forgiveness. These are like the pop-up ads of our minds, annoying, persistent, and often based on faulty information. The key is to recognize these thoughts for what they are, just thoughts, not facts. Self-forgiveness isn't just about feeling better, although that's a pretty sweet bonus. It can have a profound impact on our mental health and relationships. When we're not constantly beating ourselves up over past mistakes, we have more energy and emotional bandwidth to invest in our present relationships. It's like clearing out the clutter in your emotional house. Suddenly, there's room for new positive experiences. And let's talk about productivity and success. Have you ever noticed how shame and guilt are like productivity vampires? They suck the life out of your motivation and leave you feeling drained. Self-forgiveness, on the other hand, is like a shot of espresso for your ambition. When you're not weighed down by past mistakes, you're free to take risks, innovate, and push yourself further. So, the next time your brain decides to replay your greatest hits of embarrassment, remember, you're not defined by your mistakes. You're defined by how you learn from them, grow from them, and use that wisdom to be a better version of yourself. And hey, if nothing else, at least you got some great stories for your next dinner party. In the end, self-forgiveness is about giving yourself the grace to be human. It's about understanding that making mistakes doesn't make you a mistake. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a friend. Because let's face it, if we all waited until we were perfect to be happy, we'd be waiting a very long time. So go ahead, forgive yourself. Your future self will thank you. Chapter 2, the impact of shame and guilt. Picture this. You're at a job interview, confidently answering questions, when suddenly your mind whispers, "Remember that time you messed up that big project?" Cue the internal panic, sweaty palms, and the overwhelming urge to crawl under the interviewer's desk. Welcome to the shame and guilt circus, where your past mistakes are the main attraction and your self-esteem is the unwilling tightrope walker. Let's face it, folks, shame and guilt are like that annoying relative who overstays their welcome at family gatherings. They linger, make you uncomfortable, and have a knack for bringing up embarrassing stories at the worst possible moments. But here's the kicker. Unlike your Uncle Bob, you can actually show shame and guilt the door. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I've done some really stupid things. Trust me, you're not alone. We've all had moments where we've felt like the star of our own personal blooper reel. The difference is in how we handle the aftermath. So, let's talk about some practical steps to start forgiving yourself today. First up, let's address the elephant in the room, differentiating between true guilt and false guilt. True guilt is like a GPS for your moral compass. It tells you when you've veered off course. False guilt, on the other hand, is like a faulty GPS that keeps telling you to turn left into a brick wall. To spot the difference, ask yourself, did I actually do something wrong, or am I just feeling bad because I think I should? If it's the latter, congratulations, you've just identified false guilt. Time to kick that sucker to the curb. Now, let's tackle some common misconceptions about self-forgiveness. Many people think it's a one and done deal, like microwaving a burrito. Spoiler alert, it's more like making a gourmet meal. It takes time, effort, and sometimes you might burn the sauce. But keep at it, because the end result is worth it. Another misconception is that self-forgiveness means forgetting what happened. Nope, it's about learning from your mistakes, not erasing them. Think of it as turning your failures into fertilizer for personal growth. Yeah, it might stink at first, but boy, does it help you bloom. Let's talk about how self-forgiveness affects long-term self-esteem. Imagine your self-esteem as a garden. Shame and guilt are like weeds, choking out the flowers of self-worth. Self-forgiveness is the weed killer that allows your confidence to flourish. And trust me, a blooming self-esteem garden is much prettier than a patch of guilt weeds. But can self-forgiveness really help in overcoming anxiety and depression? You bet your bottom dollar it can. Holding on to past mistakes is like trying to run a marathon with a backpack full of rocks. Forgiving yourself is like ditching that backpack and sprinting towards better mental health. So, how do we put all this into practice? Start small. Next time you make a mistake, instead of berating yourself, try saying, "Okay, that happened. What can I learn from this?" It's like turning your inner critic into a supportive coach. Less "you idiot" and more "alright champ, let's figure this out." Remember, self-forgiveness isn't about being perfect. It's about accepting that you're perfectly imperfect. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness you'd show a friend. Because let's be honest, if we treated our friends the way we sometimes treat ourselves, we'd have a lot fewer friends. In the end, forgiving yourself is about giving yourself the grace to be human. It's about understanding that making mistakes doesn't make you a mistake. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a friend. Because let's face it, if we all waited until we were perfect to be happy, we'd be waiting a very long time. So go ahead, forgive yourself. Your future self will thank you. And who knows, maybe you'll even have a good laugh about those past mistakes someday. After all, life's too short to be your own harshest critic. Be your own biggest fan instead. Trust me, it's a much better show. Chapter 3, Recognizing Human Imperfection. Imagine this. You're standing in front of a mirror, staring at your reflection, and all you can see are the ghosts of your past mistakes. That time you said the wrong thing at a party, the job opportunity you fumbled, or the relationship you sabotaged. It's like your brain has a highlight reel of your worst moments on constant replay. Welcome to the Human Imperfection Show, where everyone's a star, but nobody wants the spotlight. Let's face it, we've all been there. Recognizing our human imperfection isn't just about acknowledging that we mess up sometimes, it's about embracing the beautiful, chaotic mess that makes us who we are. It's like realizing that life isn't a perfectly curated Instagram feed, but more like a bloopers reel that somehow turned into an award-winning documentary. Now, I know what you're thinking, but my mistakes are different. They're worse. Trust me, honey, they're not. We're all walking around with our own personal blooper reels, thinking we're the only ones who've ever tripped on the metaphorical or literal red carpet of life. So, how do we start letting go of these past mistakes and move forward? It's not like there's a delete button for memories, though wouldn't that be nice for those 3 AM cringe sessions? The key is to start seeing your mistakes not as permanent stains on your character, but as plot twists in your personal growth story. First things first, let's talk about vulnerability. I know, being vulnerable sounds about as appealing as removing a root canal without anesthesia, but here's the thing, vulnerability is like emotional CrossFit. It's uncomfortable, it makes you sweat, but boy, does it make you stronger. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable about your mistakes, you're essentially telling shame to take a hike. It's like saying, yeah, I messed up. So what? I'm human, not a robot programmed for perfection. This vulnerability opens the door for self-compassion, which is the secret source of self-forgiveness. Now let's get to the juicy part, using your mistakes as opportunities for growth. Think of each mistake as a personal growth coupon. Sure, you paid for it with some embarrassment or regret, but now you get to cash it in for some serious life lessons. Did you say something insensitive? Congratulations, you've just enrolled in the How to Be More Empathetic Masterclass. Messed up at work? Welcome to Professional Development 101. Ruined a relationship? Here's your ticket to understanding yourself and others better. The trick is to approach each mistake with curiosity rather than judgment. Instead of beating yourself up, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? It's like being your own life coach, but without the hefty hourly rate. Remember, recognizing human imperfection isn't about giving yourself a free pass to be a jerk. It's about understanding that making mistakes doesn't make you a mistake. It makes you human, and last time I checked, being human is pretty darn amazing. Opposable thumbs, anyone? So the next time you find yourself cringing at a past mistake, try to reframe it. Instead of seeing it as a failure, see it as a stepping stone. You're not falling, you're learning how to dance to the unpredictable rhythm of life. And trust me, it's a lot more fun when you stop trying to get all the steps perfect and just enjoy the music. So, the next time you find yourself cringing at a past mistake, try to reframe it. Instead of seeing it as a failure, see it as a stepping stone. You're not falling, you're learning how to dance to the unpredictable rhythm of life. And trust me, it's a lot more fun when you stop trying to get all the steps perfect and just enjoy the music. In the end, forgiving yourself and moving on from past mistakes is about giving yourself the grace to be gloriously, imperfectly human. It's about understanding that your worth isn't determined by your worst moments, but by how you learn and grow from them. So go ahead, embrace your imperfections, wear your mistakes like badges of honor, because in the grand tapestry of life, it's the imperfections that make the pattern interesting, and you, my friend, are one fascinating piece of art. Chapter 4, Learning from Personal Experiences. Picture this, you're standing in front of a mirror, not the kind that shows you your reflection, but one that seems to project every mistake, every misstep, every "what was I thinking" a moment of your life. Welcome to the gallery of personal blunders, where every exhibit is a cringe-worthy reminder of your past. But hold on to your ticket stubs, folks, because this museum tour is about to take an unexpected turn. Learning from personal experiences isn't just about collecting emotional souvenirs. It's about transforming those oh no moments into aha epiphanies. It's like being an alchemist, but instead of turning lead into gold, you're turning your face palms into high fives. Let's be real for a second. We've all been there, done that, and got the emotional t-shirt to prove it. Maybe you trusted someone who turned out to be as reliable as a chocolate teapot, or perhaps you made a decision that seemed brilliant at the time, but ended up being about as smart as trying to nail jelly to a wall. These aren't just embarrassing anecdotes, they're the building blocks of your personal growth skyscraper. Now, I know what you're thinking, but my mistakes are different, they're the worst. Trust me, my friend, they're not. We're all walking around with our own personal blooper reels, thinking we're the star of America's Most Embarrassing Humans. But here's the kicker. These cringe-worthy moments aren't just fodder for your 3 a.m. anxiety sessions. They're actually the universe's way of redirecting you, like a cosmic GPS recalculating your route after you've taken a wrong turn. So how do we start unpacking this emotional baggage? First, let's talk about the common obstacles people face when trying to forgive themselves. It's like trying to climb Mount Everest in flip-flops, challenging, uncomfortable, and likely to result in some emotional blisters. Many of us struggle with perfectionism, that annoying voice that whispers, if you were really good enough, you wouldn't have messed up in the first place. Others grapple with the fear of repeating mistakes, as if one slip-up has somehow transformed us into serial blunderers. But here's where it gets interesting. Guided meditations can be your secret weapon in the battle for self-forgiveness. Think of them as your personal emotional spa treatment. They help you relax, reflect, and release those pent-up feelings of guilt and shame. It's like giving your brain a massage, working out all those knotty thoughts and leaving you feeling refreshed and ready to face your mistakes head-on. Now, let's talk about signs that you're making progress in self-forgiveness. It's not like you'll wake up one day with a fully forgiven stamp on your forehead, although wouldn't that be convenient? Instead, you might notice that you're able to think about your past mistakes without immediately wanting to crawl under a rock. You might find yourself offering compassion to others who've messed up, realizing that hey, we're all human after all. And perhaps most importantly, you'll start to see your mistakes not as life sentences, but as life lessons. Remember, forgiving yourself isn't about excusing bad behavior or pretending it never happened. It's about acknowledging your humanity, learning from your experiences, and giving yourself permission to grow. It's like being your own life coach, but without the hefty hourly rate. So the next time you find yourself cringing at a past mistake, try to reframe it. You're not failing, you're learning, you're not messing up. You're gathering data for your next success. Every experience, even the ones that make you want to change your name and move to a deserted island, is a stepping stone towards where you're meant to be. Embrace your mistakes, learn from them, and for goodness sake, give yourself a break. Because in the grand tapestry of life, it's the imperfections that make the pattern interesting. Chapter 5: Actionable Steps for Self-Forgiveness. Alright, imagine this. You're sitting on your couch, scrolling through your phone, and suddenly you stumble upon an old photo that brings back a flood of memories. Not the good kind, but the I can't believe I did that kind. Your stomach drops, and you feel a wave of regret wash over you. Welcome to the regret roller coaster, where every loop-de-loop is a reminder of past mistakes. But what if I told you that this ride doesn't have to end in a crash? Buckle up, because we're about to turn those gut-wrenching drops into opportunities for growth and self-forgiveness. Let's dive into some actionable steps for self-forgiveness, starting with a concept called shadow work. This isn't about lurking in dark corners, it's about shining a light on the parts of yourself you'd rather keep hidden. Think of it as emotional spring cleaning. You start by acknowledging and addressing the parts of yourself that you dislike and the emotions you're harboring. Ask yourself the tough why questions to uncover the root causes of these negative feelings. It's like peeling an onion. There might be tears, but each layer brings you closer to the core. Next up, let's talk about setting goals based on your triggers. Imagine you lost your temper and said something hurtful to a loved one. Instead of wallowing in guilt, set a goal to learn about anger management or emotional intelligence. This isn't just about damage control, it's about gaining control over your reactions and emotions. Think of it as upgrading your emotional software to handle life's glitches more smoothly. Now, let's get real about processing emotions. Bottling them up is like shaking a soda can. Eventually it's going to explode. Allow yourself to feel and process your emotions through journaling, venting, or even a bit of destructive release. Go out and break some glass bottles. The key is to let those feelings out until there's nothing left to experience. It's like clearing out your emotional inbox so you can focus on the present. But why is self-love and self-perception so crucial in this journey? Because how you see yourself directly impacts how you treat yourself. If you're constantly beating yourself up over past mistakes, you're not giving yourself the space to grow. Embrace self-love as a daily practice. Spend quality time with yourself, work on your self-perception, and remember that your worth isn't defined by your worst moments. Let's address some common obstacles people face when trying to forgive themselves. As I said in the previous chapter, perfectionism is a big one. That nagging voice that says, if you were really good enough, you wouldn't have messed up. Then there's the fear of repeating mistakes, as if one slip-up has turned you into a perpetual screw-up. Recognizing these obstacles is the first step to overcoming them. Guided meditations can be a game changer in the process of self-forgiveness. Think of them as your personal emotional spa treatment. They help you relax, reflect, and release those pent-up feelings of guilt and shame. It's like giving your brain a massage, working out all those knotty thoughts and leaving you feeling refreshed and ready to face your mistakes head on. So, how do you know you're making progress in self-forgiveness? It's not like you'll wake up one day with a fully forgiven stamp on your forehead. Instead, you might notice that you're able to think about your past mistakes without immediately wanting to crawl under a rock. You might find yourself offering compassion to others who've messed up, realizing that, hey, we're all human after all. And perhaps most importantly, you'll start to see your mistakes not as life sentences, but as life lessons. Remember, forgiving yourself isn't about excusing bad behavior or pretending it never happened. It's about acknowledging your humanity, learning from your experiences, and giving yourself permission to grow. It's like being your own life coach, but without the hefty hourly rate. So, the next time you find yourself cringing at a past mistake, try to reframe it. You're not failing, you're learning, you're not messing up, you're gathering data for your next success. Every experience, even the ones that make you want to change your name and move to a deserted island, is a stepping stone towards where you're meant to be. As we wrap up this journey of self-forgiveness, remember that moving on from past mistakes and overcoming shame and guilt is a process, not a destination. You've taken the first step by watching this video, and now it's time to put these actionable steps into practice. Whether you're diving into shadow work, setting goals based on your triggers, or exploring guided meditations, each step you take is a victory in your path to self-forgiveness. Remember, you're not defined by your mistakes, but by how you learn and grow from them. As you move forward, I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question. What's one small step you can take today towards forgiving yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insight might just be the inspiration someone else needs on their journey. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content on personal growth and emotional healing. Until next time, be kind to yourself. You're doing better than you think.